First, he started off as a successful toy range. Then he was a very popular cartoon. Finally, in 1987, He-Man crossed over onto the big screen in the Masters of the Universe movie. The He-Man movie, which mainly focuses on the teenage angst of Courtney Cox. Okay. Where Eternia's greatest hero and villain takes part in an out-of-this-world battle in, New Jersey? Rightio then. Where He-Man no longer gets around on his Battle Cat, but now upgrades to a pink Cadillac. What? In a movie that hardly features any of your favourite He-Man characters, but instead features Mr. Strickland from Back to the Future. Okay, someone's winding me up, aren't they? Okay, jokes aside, Masters of the Universe was released in 1987 by the Cannon Film Group and stars Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. But sadly, the movie was an epic flop and was regarded as a low by both fans of movies and the He-Man brand. But in all seriousness, there is still a spark about this movie, something that makes it so damn enjoyable. Whenever I watch this film, I still find myself having so much fun with it. Without a doubt, this movie is a guilty pleasure. In fact, it might just be the guiltiest of guilty pleasures. And it's not just me saying this, as the movie has gone on to become a cult classic, with many people putting it in the so bad it's good category. So today we are going to try and find out why Masters of the Universe ended up being such a bizarre and misguided but still lovable movie, by looking into 10 things you didn't know about it. So by the power of Grayskull, let's check it out.
Master of the Universe.
Number 10. Early script. A big complaint fans have of Masters of the Universe is how it barely resembles its source material that it was based on. However, early drafts of the script were in fact closer to the animated series. More of the movie was to take place in Eternia and Snake Mountain, and there was a link to Earth as with the final movie, but this was because there was going to be a revelation that He-Man's mother is in fact from Earth, a subplot established in the cartoon with the Queen Marlena character. And supposedly at one stage, the script even featured He-Man's equally popular twin sister She-Ra. The script was written by David Odell, who had previously written the scripts for The Dark Crystal and Supergirl. And in contrast to the original script, at one stage the movie was going to be set entirely on Earth, as a way of cutting down production costs, until director Gary Goddard detested, and fought to have at least some of the movie take place in Eternia. Number 9. The movie destroyed an upcoming Spider-Man film. The Masters of the Universe movie was the Cannon Group's most expensive movie, with a budget of $22 million. However, by the time Masters of the Universe went into production, Cannon was a company facing great financial difficulties, on the account that the film production enterprise had a string of financial flops in the box office, along with Superman 4: The Quest of Peace, that was made the same year as Masters of the Universe. Despite having an extra $5 million thrown into its budget, the production still ran out of money. The movie's production was shut down 3 days before the intended filming wrap-up date, meaning the end battle scene with He-Man and Skeletor couldn't be filmed, with many questioning if Masters of the Universe could ever be released. Masters of the Universe director Gary Goddard was able to just barely get enough money together so the final scene could be shot, making Masters of the Universe a complete film and eligible for release. That's why the end battle seems rushed and lackluster. However, Cannon Films' fate was sealed, as Masters of the Universe was a flop and unable to make its budget back, and a planned Spider-Man movie that the company had in the works was scrapped, along with Superman 5. And Cannon Films soon after fizzled out and became a defunct company. Number 8. Masters of the Universe's two main leads have very different opinions on the movie. Dolph Lundgren stated in the Electric Boogaloo documentary that he had reservations about playing He-Man, as he felt that he was basically playing a toy, and thus considers the movie a low point in his career. Masters of the Universe was his first leading role, as he previously had a brief cameo in the James Bond movie A View to a Kill and starred as the antagonist Drago in Rocky IV, so his first leap as a leading actor clearly proved difficult. However, Skeletor actor Frank Langella's opinion on the movie couldn't be further away from Lundgren's, as he jumped at the opportunity to play Skeletor, as his son was a huge fan of the cartoon show, and Langella even got himself in shape for the role and wanted Skeletor's attire to be how it was in the cartoon, with a bare chest and legs. And Langella looks back on his experience as Skeletor fondly and considers it to be one of his favourite roles, which definitely shows on screen, as you can see he's having a ball being Skeletor, and I think that enthusiasm he puts into the movie makes it a highlight of the film. Another actor who might have interesting thoughts about the movie is Meg Foster, who played Evelyn, whose costume was very heavy and restrictive, and downright painful, which resulted in some really uncomfortable and unpleasant bruising. Wow, good on her for being a trooper and getting through the performance despite the pain she was in. Number 7. He-Man Couldn't Kill. Mattel, the toy company that owns He-Man, made it clear to the production that He-Man was not allowed to be seen killing anyone on screen, as to maintain He-Man as being a child-friendly product. However, the movie's production felt that this would make for a very boring He-Man movie, especially if the main hero can't fight or defeat anyone. This is why the concept of Skeletor having robotic troops was brought into the movie, so He-Man can be seen fighting and defeating villains with the argument of, oh, it's okay, they're just robots. So hence, we don't actually see He-Man actually killing anyone living. Because, oh, won't someone think of the children? Number 6. Orko Was Unfilmable. A prominent character in the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon is the mystical wizard-like Orko, a floating being with no face. Considering Masters of the Universe's restricted budget, Orko would have been impossible to include in the movie, on the grounds of the time and special effects that would have been needed to create the character, making Orko one of the many characters culled from the Masters of the Universe movie, including Battle Cat, which is a shame because I like Battle Cat. So a new mystical character was created for the film, in the form of Gwildor, a furry troll-like being who created the dimensional hopping cosmic key. The part was played by actor Billy Barty under heavy makeup. 1 year after Masters of the Universe, Barty would appear in the fantasy movie Willow. Number 5. Masters of the Universe couldn't come out at a worse time. Despite Masters of the Universe's flaws, particularly with its script and deviation from its source material, one thing you can't argue is that at least it's a polished looking movie, boasting some impressive special effects, from special effects genius Richard Edlund, who previously provided groundbreaking special effects for Star Wars, Poltergeist, and Ghostbusters. However, there are some who claim that even if Masters of the Universe was a modern cinematic masterpiece, it was still set up for failure, as it came out right at a time when the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe popularity had started to drastically decline. Ever since 1983, Mattel had been enjoying huge success with their He-Man toy line, as their financial intake for 1985 was $250 million, which boosted to $400 million in 1986. But then drastically dropped to just $7 million in 1987, the very year Masters of the Universe came out. The drastic drop in numbers sent a clear message to Mattel that He-Man's glory days might be over, which when you think about it, kind of automatically doomed the movie. There is no doubt in my mind that had Masters of the Universe came out in the glory days of 1985 or 1986, then it would have performed much better at the box office, and who knows, maybe even saved Canon Films. Number 4. Competition. Dolph Lundgren explained that the production of Masters of the Universe was a nightmare, and what with the financial difficulties, it does seem that it probably would have been that way. So with all the hectic mayhem on the scene, the last thing the production would have wanted or needed was a competition winner entering the movie's set to film a cameo. Well, that's exactly what happened, as Mattel held a contest where the winner gets to star in the upcoming He-Man movie. I mean, come on, what fan wouldn't want that? Where one lucky, or maybe unlucky winner was sent to the production set, where he was placed under heavy makeup and appears in a brief blink and you'll miss it scene. By the way, did I mention that the name given to the character that the extra plays is called Pig Boy? Almost as if someone in the production was venting their frustration of having to squeeze this competition winner into the works. Number 3. The composer of Rocky scored the movie. Film composer Bill Conti scored the Masters of the Universe movie. Conti had previously composed the first 3 Rocky movies, creating said movie's iconic theme, as well as the James Bond movie For Your Eyes Only and the Karate Kid films, to name but just a few. The iconic He-Man theme was not used for the movie, much to the dismay of fans. Instead, Conti created a score which sounded more heroic, with a superhero vibe, which sounds in tune with the style of John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith. The score was recorded by several different orchestras, particularly around Munich, and Conti couldn't conduct the score himself due to a strike. Instead, the score heard in the film was made up of multiple takes and recordings from different orchestral sessions. Number 2. He-Man's voice was nearly dubbed. Without a doubt, He-Man in the movie is nothing like how the character was in the cartoon, which is a big detractor from the Masters of the Universe movie. But say what you want to say about Dolph Lundgren's performance, no one can say that he didn't go all out for the role, as he did all his own stunts. Sadly, throughout the movie though, you can tell that Lundgren struggles with his dialogue on the account of his Swedish accent. Apparently, Sylvester Stallone visited the set and said that they were crazy for giving him a speaking role. The production wanted to dub Lundgren's lines with a more fluent English-speaking voice actor, but Lundgren's contract stipulated that he could have 3 attempts to dub his own dialogue before it being replaced by someone else. But because the movie ran out of time and money, it proved too much of a hassle, so Lundgren's own voice was left in. Yeah, he gets a lot of stick for his accent, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, who knows? He-Man, after all, is from another planet called Eternia. Maybe he might have a European accent. So before we get to number 1, here are some bonus facts. Bonus number 1. Masters of the Universe isn't the first theatrical He-Man movie. That honour belongs to an animated theatrical He-Man and She-Ra movie called The Secret of the Sword. Bonus number 2. The Masters of the Universe movie is an alternative adaptation. Avid fans of the film state that Masters of the Universe isn't at all related to the cartoon, but rather an adaptation, a different take on the original toy lineup, if you will. Bonus number 3. Courtney Cox's on-screen mother is the Sorceress. In the movie, the actress who plays the mystical sorceress would go on to play the mother of her Masters of the Universe co-star, Courtney Cox, in the hit sitcom Friends. Number 1. Masters of the Universe 2, Cyborg. Masters of the Universe ends with an enthusiastic Skeletor lifting his head out of some red water, telling viewers that he will indeed be back, assuring fans that there will be a part 2, which never happened. However, Masters of the Universe 2's production was well underway by the time the movie was cancelled. It was called Masters of the Universe 2 Cyborg. Pro surfer Laird Hamilton was to replace Lundgren as He-Man, and the story would see Skeletor destroy Earth to the point where it's a decayed wasteland, where He-Man returns to Earth to stop Skeletor's destruction, where he goes undercover as a quarterback. Due to Canon's financial issues, they were unable to pay Mattel for using their product. So instead, all the costumes and some of the script that was made for Masters of the Universe 2 were then recycled into the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Cyborg, which came out in 1989. So if you ever find yourself watching Cyborg, in a way you're kind of watching Masters of the Universe 2. Weird, huh? If you watch Masters of the Universe expecting a movie just like the animated series, you probably won't like it. But if you watch it expecting it to be a cheesy, fun movie from the 80s, then you're bound to have fun with it. It's not a good movie, but that doesn't stop it from being a very enjoyable one. And it's not hard to see why it has such a big fan base. Anyway, I'm Minty, And I'm actually kind of disappointed we didn't get Masters of the Universe 2 Electric Boogaloo. See ya!